Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's pretty obvious that Alberta is an urban province. 83% of us live in cities or towns. Well, obvious to everyone but this government, which allows for one kind of tax to come out to $28 for every person in a city or town, but almost $2,000 per person for folks in rural districts and counties. So, to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, why does this government discriminate against urban areas by restricting their access to the non-residential linear property tax component under CLEA?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a great question, and I've had many discussions with AUMA and AMD&C and municipalities, both rural and urban, about this, Mr. Speaker. Most municipalities work very hard to attract businesses, to attract industries, to build new subdivisions so they can grow their tax base, Mr. Speaker. And I know that there is some tension between municipalities on this particular type of revenue, Mr. Speaker, but I encourage municipalities to make sure that they work it out amongst themselves so that, because there isn't a single solitary individual, whether they live in a county or they live in a town, who isn't a member of a community. And every single bit of those resources, whether they come from rural or urban communities, need to go into supporting that community, and the solutions are best reached at a local level, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member.
To the same minister. I heard that minister at the AUMA conference tell councillors that there was no point to making changes to CLEA because then Calgary and Edmonton would get 2/3 of the money.
Wow.
Well, since those cities have 2/3 of the population, what would be wrong with that?
Mr. Speaker, rural Alberta has very tough challenges when in investing in building and infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, and my point was that most of the communities in this province, in fact 328 of them, Mr. Speaker, are not Edmonton and Calgary, they're the rest of the province, and are just as desperate for resources as anybody else, Mr. Speaker, and that when those small municipalities were asking for money from the linear assessment from rural municipalities, they had to be aware that if it was a provincial solution that came up, it would wind up in Edmonton and Calgary, and we would pull resources from rural Alberta, which are generated in rural Alberta, Mr. Speaker, and that's why I encourage them to find a local solution.
Honourable Member.
To the same minister, how is it fair that to have MDs, counties and specialized municipalities receive $1.4 billion for 17% of the people in this province, while the other 83% of Albertans get to share $81.5 million?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is the problem with sometimes the opposition puts this us versus them mentality into this discussion. And I've always said there is no us versus them. There is only us, Mr. Speaker. And it could be asked by rural Alberta why 17% of the population that lives in rural Alberta that has all the oil and gas revenue, does all the work, all the farms, all the agriculture and everything associated with it goes to support urban Albertans who sit in high-rise condos and don't necessarily contribute to the grassroots of this economy. I will not do us versus them. I will support every single municipality to work together to build strong communities for the future of this province.